Early in the morning,
This lovely lady you see on your screen right now goes by the name of Kirsty Buchan, also known as Jessica Jackrabbit X, a physics teacher by day and an OF model by day as well. She goes to class, teaches that sweet science to the students, all while sharing pictures of her fanny online. It's all kinds of mad. Now, Jessica Jackrabbit, she recently got fired as a teacher in school because her OF page got exposed. And I'm here to look at both sides. Is it fair? Is it unfair? You decide. Or we'll decide together. What's going on, people? It's your boy Cam Topical Juice, and we are back with another video for you today. As you can see from the title, we are talking about Jessica Jackrabbit, the OF star who's been fired from her job. Now, you come to Cam, you come to Topical Juice for the real. I'm the most objective on YouTube. I give you balanced arguments, left, right, up, down. I give you the fairness, and that's exactly what I'm going to do in this video. Yeah, let's get into this video, man. I'd appreciate it if you like the video. It takes half a second. Watch the video all the way through if you can, even if it's on 2 times. I'd appreciate it. On mute, I don't mind. It helps push it out to the wider community. Press that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 100k by the end of the year. And of course, my Patreon link is in the description below if you want to support me further than just on YouTube. Let's see what she's got to say.
General Teaching Council for Scotland has just this week found that you failed to conceal your identity and profession. Your behaviour lacked integrity. The solicitor and presenting officer for the council said you'd used your profession as a selling tool. You appeared to justify your actions, and that the school involved was now synonymous with having an OnlyFans teacher. There had been a significant blurring between your private and professional life. You'd shown zero insight into your conduct and failed to act as a role model. And many parents, I can imagine, watching, might think the same thing.
Well, many parents might also think it's good to encourage people to be themselves and not care what everyone else thinks. I think a role model is someone that shows someone to teaches someone to be themselves and not care what everyone else thinks. And that's one thing I did teach the children.
I understand that, but I wonder whether you have a different responsibility as a teacher.
Yeah, of course I do. But at the same time, you're talking about integrity. That's open to interpretation.
Do you think you've done anything to be ashamed of?
No, I'm not ashamed of it. I didn't want the kids to see it, but I didn't let the kids view my pictures, actually. That's what's wrong with the whole story here. An adult illegally copyrighted my photos and sent them out to the children in the school.
Now, if that's true and an adult illegally copied her content and shared it with kids, that adult is a weirdo. Yeah, very, very weird behavior. When it comes to this argument about integrity and teaching kids to be themselves, I understand where she's coming from in terms of if she's not promoting her OF page and on a day-to-day basis she's encouraging kids to be themselves, that's a good thing. But she'd be naive to think that there's not a blurring of ethics here. I think you have to understand the profession you're in. I've seen examples of NHS staff getting fired because they're doing OF content at work. Teachers, I think when it comes to certain occupations, you can't really be doing that. Now, I'm kind of giving you my opinion now, but I'm going to give you more of my opinion at the end. But I think there's certain professions, if you're a receptionist at a gym, if you're working in a bank, I feel like there's certain professions that you can get away with things like that. I think when you're working with children, I don't think you can actively be running an OF page when you work with kids. Because the reality is, once that stuff comes out, your life's going to be hell anyway. You don't want your reality to be coming into school and getting sneered at, jokes, banter. Oh, miss, I've seen your titties, or all this, that, and the other. Like, that's not a lifestyle. That's not a life you really want to live.
Do you think there is anything shameful about a woman or a man posing for pictures like that?
It just always seems to be worse when it's a woman.
No, I'm not saying there is. I'm just asking.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It doesn't mean anything. It's nothing about your morals.
And can I ask you, I asked what the atmosphere was like in the classroom. You say it was supportive.
Yeah.
Well, there must have been some giggles. I mean,
yeah, of course there was giggles. They were saying it was like Christmas come early.
But what was it like in the... Okay.
But you don't want them to see you like... You don't want them to see you that way.
What was it like in the staff room? What was the atmosphere like in the staff room?
Oh, well, some of the staff obviously weren't too pleased because it did have a name for the school. It's not about the school. I'm just a teacher, I'm just a mother. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but at the same time, I've not shamed away from it. I've took responsibility, and what I have taught is your pictures can go out there. I'm not saying do this. I worked really hard to be a teacher. I went to university and had 2 jobs whilst being a single mother. I had to do this for extra money, and it was a good way to make money, so...
Do you think you'll be able to go back into teaching at some stage? You wouldn't?
Yeah, I barely slept, worked really hard. not enough money.
I suppose the thing is, if you're earning 60 grand a month
Exactly.
on OnlyFans, why would you do anything else?
Yeah, it's a good point.
Even though she made that comment about Christmas come early, I'm glad she did make that following comment about you don't want to be seen like that, because these are children at the end of the day. She worked in a secondary school, I think. The oldest pupil there is going to be 16. These are teenagers. Now, don't get me wrong. If I was at school and my teacher, bro, I'm definitely looking, bro. Unfortunately, pornography has been an addiction, or my earliest addiction, I'd say, over 20 years. You feel me? So, of course, as a young boy, this is Christmas come early. Damn, my teacher, I've just seen my teacher's snatch, bro. I've just seen my teacher's nipples, bro. Like, what the hell? Like, this is madness. You know what I'm saying? That's great. But from the adult side of things, it is wildly irresponsible, because we all know how quickly this type of content spreads. I don't think there's one OF model or person who started OF where their family hasn't found out or their friends haven't found out. People are going to find out. People are going to talk. This is how it works. I think she needs to take it more accountability, even though she's taking accountability for what she's done. I know it's not about the school necessarily, and it's about her, but these are cause and effect. Naturally, the school's going to have a name now. Naturally, it's going to be attached to the school. Now, the reality is, if it's a corporation, who cares? Yeah, this billion-dollar corporation, you feel me? They're taking money from us, elite people, eradicating the middle class, paying people shitty wages just so they can pump their wages back into the same corporations that own everything. You know what I'm saying? If it's a corporation, who cares? But when it's a school where there's children involved, it's a different scenario, you feel me? It's a different situation. She mentions, right, she went to university, she's got 2 kids and she's a single mother. Right, so she wanted to be a teacher, but she ended up going this route because wages are low and she's struggling. Now, this is where I want to go into the part about defending her. Before I talk about why I think it's fair that she's been fired, let's actually defend her for a second. As you can see on your screen right now, the average salary for a teacher in Glasgow is around £40,713 per year, according to Indeed, and it can list as high as 44,000, which is 78% above the national average. So it's a pretty decent salary. And if we look at a physics teacher specifically in Glasgow, what she used to teach, they earn 46,668 per year, which is higher than the average again. Some teachers in Scotland range from 33,000 and some up to 50,000 for experience. So between 33 and 50,000, that's a good salary. It's a decent salary. However, let's say she earns 46,668 per year. That leaves her with 35,108 or 2,926 per month after tax. But look at this, the average monthly household expenses for a couple in Glasgow can vary significantly depending on lifestyle and location. A reasonable estimate is 1,800 to 2,500 per month. Now, assuming she's single, the average monthly cost of living in Glasgow for a single person can range from 1,500 to 2,000. So if she's only taking home, say, just under £3,000 a month, and she's a single mother with 2 kids, what does that really leave her in disposable income? Peanuts. Kids are expensive, let alone 2 children, you feel me? So from that side of things, I don't necessarily blame her for trying to get extra money. And it's alleged she was making upwards of, in some months, £60,000. I don't think that's every month, because if you're making 60 bags a month, I promise you, you are not going to be a teacher, bro. You are not going to be a teacher. You're not going to be waking up early, marking exams. You're going to be thinking, bun these kids, bun this school. I don't need this. From that side of things, I don't blame her. Wages are low-ish. Cost of living is high. If the cost of living was lower, that salary would be amazing. So from that point of view, I can't necessarily blame her. But as I said earlier in the video, this is a school. And I think she should have got fired for this. I do believe that. Because when it comes to civil service, jobs like the NHS, when you're working with children, this is a conflict of interest. It's conflict of interest, is that what I mean? This is clearly a breach of ethics. If you're working with children, naturally, there's certain jobs that you can't do. And showing your tits online, whether it's sex tapes or literally, a quick Google search, I've seen this woman's nunny, bro. You know what I'm saying? I've seen this woman's vajayjay. I've seen it. Quick Google search. It took me 3 seconds, bro. What do you think a kid's gonna do? After that, it just becomes a bit of a joke then. It becomes a talking point in the school. Not because you don't have integrity, not because you're a nasty person. I know loads of OF models who are amazing people, amazing mothers. They've got empathy, they've got creative vision, they're smart, they're intelligent. Just because you're in that industry, it doesn't make you a bad person. But naturally, if you're going to school, the focus takes away from your teaching ability. The focus is away from your ability to teach physics and all these things. And the people are just going to be looking at you and objectifying you. And this is what comes with the territory Yeah, if you work in this industry, you better get used to that shit. You can't be a victim. You can't, oh, cry me a river. This is what it is. And the reality is, guys, kids should not be exposed to pornography. The industry is damaging. It's dangerous. You understand? I can speak from personal experience. I know a lot of men, so many men who are addicted to this. Where do you think that starts from? Childhood, guys. The industry, while it's changed lives, I don't agree with it. Now, I don't judge anyone in it. Of course I don't. I don't judge anyone in it. I don't care. I've got friends that are in the industry. It's changed their lives. But any OF model with real integrity, you wouldn't want your own kids being exposed to this. Better yet, you wouldn't want your own kids doing this. Now, if my daughter or son ended up being an OF model, I've failed in certain parts as a parent. I'm not a complete failure as a parent. That's not what I'm saying. But there's certain things that I should have been teaching my children. Like basically selling your body online for the world to see for a price is not what I want for my kids. And that's okay. Yeah, just because I don't judge my friends for that, I don't hate them for that. It's also okay to want better for my kids. Do I want my kids being like me? Absolutely not. When you're growing up, you might sell a little bit of this and that. You might get into a bit of this and that. Do I want my kids, my son or daughter selling drugs? Absolutely not. I'm consistent, I'm fair. I don't want them selling their bodies online. I don't want them selling drugs and damaging communities. And as I said, I wouldn't be a failure as a parent, and I'm not judging my friends' parents at all, but there's elements that I failed as a parent if my daughter or son goes that route. As I said, if my kid did half the things that I did growing up, I'd be mortified, bro. Now, obviously, you can't protect your kids from everything. People are going to make mistakes. The world is influential. You can't be everywhere at once. Kids are going to make mistakes. Kids are going to do things. I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. But in terms of like core values, I don't want my children doing things like this. I feel like children, they're being exposed to so much negativity in this world. Whether it's female rappers like Sexy Red, who's hypersexual, promoting STD culture, promoting baby daddy culture, promoting promiscuous lifestyle. Whether it's gangster rap, who promote murders, killings, shootings, stabbings, and drug selling culture. I feel like there's so much negative culture. It's up to the teachers to kind of separate things like this. If you want to be a banker and do OF, who cares? But NHS staff, teachers, is that really what we're doing here? So I think from that side of things, she should have been fired. And the reality is, if you're making upwards of 60 bands a month, what the hell are you doing anyway? Get like what you would work like 9 to 5 when you're, come on, bro. That doesn't make sense. So I don't believe she's making I don't think she's making 60 grand a month. I think she said 1 month she made 60 grand. She might be making 10, 5, 20, who cares? That's still better than a teacher. So you might as well just stick with that. And this story is obviously going to give you more like clout and exposure as well. You can see that she actually uses her teaching profession in her bio. So she can't really say that she's not really blurring lines or whatever, because the reality is she actually is a teacher and she's got that in her bio, a teacher gone bad. That's part of her image. That's part of what helps her sell. A disciplinary hearing was told the mum of one's profile was discovered by pupils in 2022 and reported to ed teacher Miss Black. Pictures of Jack Rabbit 34 posing in lingerie and grabbing her titties were handed over by shocked students. Damn, they snitched. In her bio, she admitted to being a good teacher gone bad, really bad. The profile was also easily accessible, requiring no payment or sign up. Damn, free profile, you know. Free profile, which means she's obviously selling pay-per-view or whatever content. Free, easily accessible. Yikes. Miss Black told the hearing, I was approached by some S5 and S6 boys who were very excited. They were saying things like, have you heard the news? I said something like, I don't know what you're talking about, as I did not want to engage them in this kind of conversation. I was then told something like, if you haven't heard, when you do, you're going to go ballistic. Look out for Jessica Jackrabbit. As I came back into the building, at least 2 staff stopped me to ask me if I knew about Kirsty. It was obvious at this point that everyone knew what was going on. Kirsty Jackrabbit, who had originally been a pupil at the school, before teaching there, did not attend the hearing. In her absence, the head teacher described the OF model as a teacher who wanted to do a good job. However, there have been several occasions when she was not always clear on boundaries. She told the panel she was referring to having poor judgment when it came to being open about sharing social media with pupils. One concerned mother had even contacted Miss Black and reported how her son left messages for Jackrabbit on her OF profile. The 34-year-old quit her job shortly after her adult content platform was discovered. She claimed to rake in $60,000 in just 1 month through her X-rated page, and she argued that she signed up because she needed extra cash because her wages were decreased. So ultimately, guys, I think this is justified. If you are a teacher teaching students, you can't be creating X-rated content on the side. There's a clear breach of ethics, and naturally, if people discover this, your life ain't gonna be the same anyway. It's gonna attach a stigma to the school. The students are gonna look at you funny, make jokes of you. Staff are gonna judge you. Now, I'm not judging you. As I said, I don't give a fuck what anyone does, man. I really don't, unless it's my daughter or son. But friends, whatever, do your thing. I don't care. But I think when it comes to children, we have to protect children from this type of content. And that's what it is. So let me know your thoughts, man. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay vigilant. I'll see you lot soon. Peace.